Maya Collins stared at the clock on her desk. Only 15 minutes left in advanced galactic history class. She tried to look interested as Professor Henderson talked about the peaceful Galactic Alliance. But her mind was somewhere else entirely. You can see humans joined the Alliance just 5 years ago, Professor Henderson said, pointing to a star map. We are the newest member species. We must learn to follow the rules that have kept peace in the galaxy for over 1,000 years. Maya rolled her eyes. Peace. That was all the adults ever talked about. Peace and following rules, and being good little humans who did what the older alien species told them to do. It made her sick. She looked around the classroom at Terra Nova Academy. 20 other students sat in neat rows, all paying attention, like good students should. Her best friend Jake Murphy sat 2 seats over, taking careful notes. He was probably the only one who knew her secret. Maya had not been to gym class in 3 months. Every day when she was supposed to be running laps or playing boring sports, she snuck into the restricted section of the Academy's computer system. She told the teacher she was sick, or had a family emergency, or needed to see the counselor. Jake always covered for her, telling anyone who asked that she was in the bathroom or talking to another teacher. Instead of exercising, Maya spent hours reading military files that students were not supposed to see. She studied battle reports from wars that happened before humans even knew aliens existed. The Centauri Wars, the vegan conflicts, dozens of other fights between alien species across the galaxy, and what she learned made her angry. Every single alien species fought wars the same boring way. They moved their big, slow ships into position. They shot at each other from far away. Battles lasted for months or even years. Nobody tried anything new or exciting. It was like watching paint dry, except with lasers. Maya had read every human military history book she could find. Humans fought differently. They were fast. They were sneaky. They surprised their enemies and hit them where it hurt most. The best human generals never fought the same battle twice. But now, humans were part of the Galactic Alliance, and everyone expected them to fight like aliens, slow and boring and predictable. The bell rang, ending class. Students began packing their bags. Remember, Professor Henderson called out, your essays on Alliance diplomatic procedures are due next week. And please review Chapter 12 on proper conduct with alien dignitaries. Maya grabbed her backpack and headed for the door. Jake caught up with her in the hallway. Gym class starts in 10 minutes, he whispered. What's your excuse today? Stomachache, Maya said. Tell Coach Williams I went to see the nurse. Jake shook his head. You're going to get caught eventually. Not if you keep covering for me. Maya waited until Jake disappeared around the corner, then took the elevator to the basement level. The Academy's main computer center was down here, along with storage rooms and maintenance areas that most students never visited. She had discovered the security flaw 3 months ago by accident. The military database was supposed to be completely separate from the Academy's student network, but some lazy technician had left a connection open. Maya had been trying to hack into the kitchen system to change her lunch account balance when she stumbled into classified military files instead. At first, she just looked around out of curiosity, but the more she read, the more fascinated she became. These files contained detailed reports on every major space battle in galactic history. Ship movements, weapon capabilities, tactical analysis, casualty reports, everything. Maya found an empty storage room and set up her portable computer. Within minutes, she was deep in the military database, reading about something called the Rigel campaign. 2 alien fleets had spent 8 months shooting at each other over a worthless asteroid field. 8 months. Maya could not imagine anything more stupid. She was so absorbed in reading that she almost missed the emergency alert that popped up on her screen. Priority transmission. Classified from Zephyrian Empire Command 2, Galactic Alliance Council. Subject. Final ULTIMTUMAI's heart started beating faster. The Zephyrian Empire was one of the 3 most powerful alien civilizations in the galaxy. They controlled hundreds of star systems and had never lost a war. She opened the message and read it twice to make sure she understood. The Zephyrians were giving humanity an ultimatum. All human colonies outside Earth's solar system had to be abandoned within 90 days. Any humans who refused to leave would be removed by force. The message was polite but clear: submit or be destroyed. Maya quickly searched for the Alliance's response. She found it in the Council. Meeting notes from earlier that day, the Alliance planned to form a committee to study the situation. They would hold meetings and write reports and try to negotiate. The whole process would take at least 6 months. Maya felt cold. The aliens did not understand. The Zephyrians were not bluffing. She had read enough military history to recognize the pattern. The Zephyrians always did exactly what they said they would do. If they said 90 days, they meant 90 days, but the Alliance Council was made up of species who thought in terms of decades or centuries. They could not imagine that anyone would actually attack so quickly. Maya looked at the calendar. Today was March 15th. That gave humanity until June 15th before the Zephyrians attacked. Less than 3 months. She spent the next 2 hours reading everything she could find about Zephyrian military tactics, their fleet compositions, their battle strategies, their previous conquests. A picture began to form in her mind. The Zephyrians were like every other alien species. They fought slow, careful wars. They moved their ships into formation, established supply lines, and gradually wore down their enemies. It had worked for them for centuries because everyone else fought the same way, but humans were different, or at least they could be different. If someone gave them the chance, Maya made a decision that would change everything. She was going to contact Admiral Kate Morrison, the highest-ranking human in the Alliance fleet. She was going to tell the Admiral exactly what the Zephyrians were planning and exactly how to stop them. The adults would probably think she was crazy, a 17-year-old girl who skipped gym class to read old battle reports. But Maya did not care what they thought. She had seen something that the greatest military minds in the galaxy had missed. She knew how to win. Admiral Kate Morrison was having the worst day of her career. She sat in her office aboard the Alliance space station, staring at reports that made no sense. According to the Council, the Zephyrian situation was under control. Handling everything. There was no need for military preparation, but Admiral Morrison had spent 30 years in space, and she knew the difference between a negotiation and a threat. The Zephyrians were not interested in talking. They wanted humans gone, and they were willing to use force to make it happen. The problem was that humanity had almost no military power in space. When they joined the Alliance 5 years ago, they had agreed to limit their fleet to just 12 ships. 12 ships to protect all human colonies across dozens of star systems. It was barely enough for patrol duty, let alone fighting a war. Admiral Morrison was reading casualty projections when her aide, Commander Alex Turner, knocked on her door. "Admiral, you need to see this," Alex said, holding a data pad. "We received a transmission from Terra Nova Academy. It's marked as urgent military intelligence, but the sender is listed as Maya Collins, age 17. "A practical joke?" Admiral Morrison asked. "That's what I thought at first. But the transmission contains detailed tactical analysis of Zephyrian fleet movements and battle doctrine. Whoever wrote this knows more about alien military strategy than most of our intelligence officers." Admiral Morrison took the datapad and began reading. The message was long and detailed, but the main points were clear. The Zephyrians were not bluffing. They would attack in exactly 90 days, just as they always did. Their fleet was already moving toward human space, using a route that the Alliance intelligence services had not detected. More importantly, the message contained something Admiral Morrison had never seen before: a complete analysis of why Zephyrian tactics were vulnerable to human-style warfare, according to the analysis. Alien species fought wars of attrition. They wore down their enemies slowly over months or years. But humans had a history of fighting. Quick, decisive campaigns. Hit hard, hit fast, and disappear before the enemy could respond. The message suggested that a small human fleet using aggressive tactics could defeat a much larger Zephyrian force by targeting their command ships and creating chaos in their formations. "Get me everything you can find on this Maya Collins," Admiral Morrison told Alex, "and verify her claims about Zephyrian fleet movements. If she's right about their location, then she might be right about everything else. 3 hours later, Alex returned with a full report. Maya Collins was a student at Terra Nova Academy with perfect grades in military history and terrible attendance in every other class. She had been hacking into classified databases for months, though she had not stolen or damaged anything. She just read everything she could find about space warfare. More importantly, long-range sensors had confirmed her claims about the Zephyrian fleet. 300 ships were indeed moving toward human space, following exactly the route Maya had predicted. Sir Alex said, "This girl knows more about the current tactical situation than anyone else in the Alliance. How is that possible?" Admiral Morrison was wondering the same thing. "Get a shuttle ready. We're going to Terra Nova Academy." Meanwhile, Maya was in serious trouble. Principal Betty Howard had discovered her unauthorized access to the military database. Maya sat in the principal's office, waiting to learn her punishment. 3 months of skipping classes, Principal, Howard said, reading from Maya's file. Hacking into restricted computer systems. Accessing classified military information without permission. Maya, you could be expelled for this. You could even face criminal charges. Maya said nothing. She had expected this to happen eventually. The only surprise was that it had taken so long. "Do you have anything to say for yourself?" Principal Howard asked. "I sent a message to Admiral Morrison," Maya said quietly. "About the Zephyrians. Someone needs to warn her that they're coming." Principal Howard stared at her. "Maya, you're 17 years old. You think you know more about military strategy than the Alliance Council?" "Yes," Maya said. "I do, before." Principal Howard could respond. Her assistant knocked on the door. "Ma'am, there's an Alliance shuttle landing on the Academy's flight pad. Admiral Morrison is requesting an immediate meeting with student Maya Collins." Principal Howard's face went pale. "Admiral Morrison? The Admiral Morrison?" 20 minutes later, Maya found herself in the Academy's conference room, facing the most important military officer in human space. Admiral Morrison was younger than Maya had expected, probably in her 50s, with short gray hair and tired eyes. "Ms. Collins," Admiral Morrison said, "your message reached me 6 hours ago. I've spent that time verifying your claims, and I'm disturbed to report that everything you said appears to be accurate. The question is, how did you know?" Maya took a deep breath. "I've been reading military history files for 3 months. Battle reports, tactical analyses, fleet movements. Notice that every alien species fights the same way. They're predictable, and you think humans are different. I know we are. I've read about human wars too. We don't fight fair. We don't follow rules. We hit our enemies where they don't expect it, and we do it fast, before they can respond." "Admiral," Morrison leaned forward, "the Alliance has been trying to develop a defense strategy for weeks. Our best tactical officers can't figure out how to stop 300 Zephyrian ships with 12 human vessels. You think you have an answer?" Maya nodded. "The Zephyrians expect us to fight like everyone else. Set up defensive positions. Try to protect our colonies. Wait for them to attack. But what if we don't do that? What if we attack them first? A preemptive strike." Admiral Morrison looked skeptical. "Against overwhelming odds?" "Not overwhelming if we do it right. The Zephyrians are slow to adapt. If we hit their command ships first, create confusion in their formations, they won't know how to respond. Could scatter their entire fleet before they figure out what's happening." Admiral Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she spoke. "Ms. Collins, what you're suggesting violates every principle of Alliance military doctrine. It's aggressive, risky, and completely unprecedented." Maya felt her heart sink. The Admiral thought she was crazy, just like everyone else would. However, Admiral Morrison continued, "It might be the only chance we have. I'm going to recommend to the Alliance Council that we authorize your strategy, and I'm going to ask them to make you an official strategic advisor to the human fleet." Maya could hardly believe what she was hearing. "Really? Really? But first, you're going to have to convince a room full of alien diplomats and human officials that a teenager who skips gym class knows how to win a war." Maya smiled for the first time in days. I can do that. As they left the conference room, Admiral Morrison turned to her. One more question, Ms. Collins. Why did you risk everything to send me that message? You could have stayed quiet and let someone else handle the problem. Maya thought about it for a moment, because someone had to do something. And everyone else was too busy following rules to see what was really happening. Admiral Morrison nodded. Might be the most human answer I've ever heard. 2 weeks later, Maya stood on the bridge of the Un's Liberty, trying not to throw up. The ship was humanity's flagship, but it was tiny compared to alien battleships. Around her, officers worked at their stations, preparing for what everyone thought was a suicide mission. Captain Ryan Brooks walked over to Maya. He was a kind man in his 40s who had agreed to take a teenager on his bridge during the most important battle in human history. How are you feeling, Strategic Advisor? He asked with a smile. Maya still could not believe that was her official title now. Strategic Advisor Maya Collins. 2 weeks ago, she had been worried about failing gym class. Now she was in charge of planning humanity's defense against the most powerful alien empire in the galaxy. Scared, Maya admitted, but ready. The Alliance Council had not been happy about her plan. Chancellor Maria Santos had called it reckless and dangerous. General Chris Adams had said it violated every rule of space warfare. But Admiral Morrison had convinced them to try it, mostly because nobody else had any better ideas. Maya's plan was simple, but it would only work if the Zephyrians did exactly what she expected them to do. And alien fleets had been fighting wars for thousands of years. What if she was wrong? All ships report ready, Commander Alex Turner announced from his station. He had volunteered to be Maya's assistant during the battle. Helping her coordinate the human fleet, Maya looked at the tactical display. 12 human ships faced 300 Zephyrian vessels. On paper, it looked hopeless. But Maya had spent months studying how the Zephyrians fought, and she knew their weakness. They were predictable. Phase 1 begins in 30 seconds, Maya announced. Her voice carried to all 12 ships through the communication system. Remember, we hit fast and disappear before they can respond? Just like we practiced? Commander Lisa Park commanded the first group of 4 ships. Her job was to attack the edge of the Zephyrian formation and make them think that was the main human assault. While the aliens focused on her ships, the other 8 vessels would sneak around to attack the real target. Lisa, you're clear too. Begin, Maya said. Copy that, Maya. Here we go. Maya watched the tactical display as Commander Park's ships raced toward the Zephyrian fleet. The alien formation was huge, stretching across millions of kilometers of space. Hundreds of ships arranged in perfect geometric patterns, just like they had been fighting for centuries. The human ships looked like tiny insects attacking a giant monster. Commander Park's vessels opened fire on the outer edge of the Zephyrian formation. Laser beams and missiles streaked through space. The Zephyrian ships began turning to face this new threat, moving slowly and carefully just as Maya had predicted. They're taking the bait, Captain Brooks said. The main fleet is turning toward Commander Park's position. Perfect, Maya said. Phase 2, begin now. The remaining 8 human ships, including the Liberty, activated their stealth systems and began moving toward the center of the Zephyrian formation. Maya had studied the alien battle plans. She knew exactly where their command ships would be positioned. Alien fleets always put their most important vessels in the safest place possible, right in the middle of their formation, surrounded by hundreds of protective ships. It was logical, but it also made them easy to find. Stealth systems working perfectly, reported Lieutenant Karen Hughes at the sensor station. The Zephyrians don't see us coming. Maya felt her heart pounding as they got closer to the enemy fleet. Through the ship's windows, she could see Zephyrian vessels passing by, huge dark ships covered in weapon turrets and armor plating. Any one of them could destroy the Liberty with a single shot. But they did not even know the human ships were there. Target acquired, announced the weapons officer. Zephyrian command ship dead ahead. Maya looked at the tactical display. The alien flagship was exactly where she had predicted it would be. A massive vessel, 3 times the size of any human ship, surrounded by dozens of escorts. "All ships, this is Maya," she said into the communication system. "Begin Phase 3 on my mark. Remember, hit the command ships first, then scatter. We only get one chance at this." She took a deep breath. Everything depended on the next few minutes. Mark. 8 human ships suddenly appeared in the middle of the Zephyrian formation and opened fire at the same time. Missiles and laser beams struck command vessels before the aliens could react. Explosions lit up space as human weapons found their targets. The Zephyrians had never experienced anything like this. For centuries, their enemies had fought them from a distance, slowly and carefully. Nobody had ever appeared right in the middle of their fleet and started shooting. "Direct hit on the flagship," shouted the weapons officer. "Their main command ship is badly damaged." Maya watched the tactical display as chaos spread through the Zephyrian fleet. Ships were turning in all directions, trying to figure out where the attack was coming from. Some were shooting at their own vessels by mistake, but Maya knew this. Confusion would not last long. The Zephyrians were experienced fighters. They would adapt to the situation and coordinate a response. "All ships, begin scatter pattern now," Maya ordered. "Don't stay in one place." Human vessels spread out in all directions, moving as fast as their engines could push them. Maya had planned their escape routes carefully, using asteroid fields and debris clouds to break up Zephyrian targeting systems. For 10 minutes, it looked like the plan was working perfectly. The human ships had destroyed or damaged 6 Zephyrian command vessels and were successfully escaping from the enemy formation. Then everything went wrong. "Maya," Captain Brooks said urgently, "we have a problem. Long-range sensors are showing another Zephyrian fleet approaching from the outer system. Over 100 ships." Maya felt cold. She had not planned for this. According to her research, the Zephyrians always kept their entire fleet together. They did not use separate formations or reserve forces, but Admiral Veltar, the Zephyrian commander, was smarter than Maya had expected. He had kept part of his fleet hidden, waiting to see what the humans would do. Now those ships were moving to surround the human fleet. "We're trapped," Commander Alex Turner said quietly. "We've got us surrounded. On 3 sides." Maya stared at the tactical display. The Zephyrians were closing in from multiple directions. Her carefully planned escape routes were blocked. In a few minutes, 300 alien ships would have 12 human vessels surrounded with no way out. She had made a mistake, and now everyone was going to die because of it. But then Maya remembered something her military history books had taught her. Sometimes the best way out of a trap was to do something so crazy that nobody expected it. "Captain Brooks," she said, "how fast can this ship go?" "Top speed is about 40,000 kilometers per hour. "Why?" Maya smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had just decided to do something incredibly stupid, so we're going to charge straight at their flagship. "All ships, maximum speed, directly at Admiral Veltar's command vessel." "Maya," Captain Brooks said carefully, "that's suicide. They'll be flying directly into the heaviest concentration of enemy firepower." "Exactly," Maya said. "Not so crazy that they won't expect it. And while they're trying to figure out what we're doing, we punch through their formation and escape on the other side." Captain Brooks looked at her for a long moment. Then he smiled. "You know what? I think you're right. All ships," you heard the lady. "Full speed ahead, straight at the enemy flagship." The 12 human ships suddenly changed direction and raced directly toward the center of the Zephyrian fleet. Maya watched the tactical display as hundreds of alien vessels tried to adjust their positions to intercept the human attack, but the Zephyrians were too slow. They had been planning to surround the human ships gradually, using their superior numbers to trap them. They were not prepared for a direct frontal assault. "Incoming fire," reported the weapons officer. The Liberty shook as Zephyrian weapons hit their shields. Warning lights flashed on the bridge, but the human ships kept moving, racing through the enemy formation at maximum speed. "Almost through," Captain Brooks shouted over the noise of alarms. "Just a few more seconds." Maya held her breath as they flew past the massive Zephyrian flagship. She could see weapon turrets tracking their movement, trying to get a clear shot. But the human ships were moving too fast and changing direction too often, and then they were through. Racing away from the Zephorian fleet toward open space. We made it. Commander Alex Turner shouted. All 12 ships clear of the enemy formation. Maya collapsed into a chair, her legs suddenly too weak to hold her up. They had done it. They had actually done it. But the battle was not over yet. Admiral Veltar was furious. In 300 years of military service, he had never been humiliated like this. A dozen tiny human ships had appeared in the middle of his fleet, destroyed 6 of his command vessels, and escaped before he could stop them. But he still had almost 300 ships left, and the humans only had 12. This battle was far from over. All ships pursuit formation, he ordered. We will hunt down every human vessel and destroy them. On the bridge of the Liberty, Maya watched the Zephorian fleet reorganizing. They were angry now, which made them dangerous. But anger also made them careless, and Maya was counting on that. They're following us, Captain Brooks reported. The entire fleet is moving in our direction. Good, Maya said. That's exactly what I want them to do. Commander Alex Turner looked confused. Maya, we can't outrun 300 ships. Catch us eventually. Maya smiled. She was not the scared teenager who had stood on this bridge an hour ago. The battle had changed her. She felt calm and confident, like she finally understood what she was meant to do. We're not running away, she said. We're leading them into a trap. Over the next 2 hours, Maya played a deadly game of cat and mouse with the Zephorian fleet. The human ships would appear, attack a few enemy vessels, and disappear again. They used asteroid fields for cover, hid behind moons and space stations, struck from directions the aliens never expected. Each attack was small, but they added up. Maya's ships destroyed or damaged dozens of Zephorian vessels while losing. None of their own. More importantly, they were making Admiral Veltar angry and frustrated. He's making mistakes now, Maya told Captain Brooks, as they watched the enemy fleet split into smaller groups to search for the human ships. He's letting his emotions control his decisions, how can you tell? Look at his formation. He's spreading his ships out to cover more area, but that makes them weaker. And he's not protecting his command vessels properly anymore. Maya was right. Admiral Veltar was so focused on hunting down the human ships that he was forgetting basic tactical principles. His fleet was scattered across a huge area of space, with gaps between ship groups that Maya could exploit. All ships, Maya said into the communication system. Final attack begins now. Target the flagship, everything we have. The 12 human ships appeared from all directions at once, converging on Admiral Veltar's command vessel. The alien admiral realized his mistake too late. The ship was isolated, with his closest escorts too far away to help. Fire everything, Captain Brooks ordered. The Liberty's weapons blazed along with those of the other human ships. Missiles and laser beams struck the Zephorian flagship from every angle. The massive alien vessel's shields collapsed under the concentrated assault. Direct hit on their bridge, reported the weapons officer. The flagship is badly damaged. Maya watched the tactical display as the Zephorian command ship began to drift, its engines dead and its weapons silent. Emergency signals were coming from the vessel, indicating massive casualties among the crew. Admiral Veltar's ship is down, Commander Alex Turner announced. They're requesting immediate assistance. Maya felt a moment of sadness. She had not wanted to kill anyone, but Admiral Veltar had threatened to destroy human colonies, and Maya had done what was necessary to stop him. The effect on the Zephorian fleet was immediate. Without their admiral's leadership, the alien ships began to retreat. Some groups tried to rescue the damaged flagship, but others simply fled toward Zephorian space as fast as they could travel. They're running, Captain Brooks said with amazement. The entire fleet is withdrawing. Maya nodded. She had expected. This alien military doctrine emphasized centralized command. When you cut off the head, the body could not function. Let them go, she said. We've won. The news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. Within days, every alien species knew that 12 human ships had defeated 300 Zephorian vessels in open battle. The reaction was shock and disbelief. The The Zephyrian Empire had not lost a major battle in over 2 centuries. They were considered one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. How had a junior species like humanity defeated them so easily? Maya returned to Terra Nova Academy. As the most famous teenager in human history, news reporters from dozens of worlds wanted to interview her. Military analysts studied her tactics and tried to figure out how she had done it. Principal Betty Howard apologized for doubting her and offered to remove all the disciplinary actions from her record. Jake Murphy became famous too, as the best friend who had helped the heroes skip class to save civilization. But Maya found that fame was not as enjoyable as she had expected. Everyone wanted to know her secrets, to understand how she thought, to learn her methods. She felt like a specimen in a laboratory, constantly examined and questioned. Admiral Morrison offered her a full scholarship to the Alliance Naval Academy and a guaranteed position as a fleet commander after graduation. It was an incredible opportunity that most people would have accepted immediately. Maya surprised everyone by saying no. "I want to finish high school first," she told Admiral Morrison. "I'm still 17. I need to learn about other things besides warfare." "Other things?" Admiral Morrison asked. "History, literature, science, art. If I'm going to help humanity deal with other alien species, I need to understand what makes us human. Not just how we fight, but who we are." Admiral Morrison smiled. "That might be the wisest thing anyone has said to me in years." Maya did agree to one request. She established a new program at Terra Nova Academy to teach human tactical doctrine. 2 Alliance military officers. Alien students came from across the galaxy to learn how humans thought about warfare. The classes were popular. But Maya found that most alien officers could not really understand human tactics. They were too used to following rules and procedures. The idea of improvising or breaking conventional patterns was foreign to them. 6 months after the battle, Maya received the Alliance's highest civilian honor, the Star of Terra. Chancellor Maria Santos presented the award at a ceremony attended by representatives from hundreds of worlds. "Maya Collins," Chancellor Santos announced, "has shown us that the greatest weapon in the galaxy is not a ship or a gun, but a mind that refuses to accept limitations." Maya stood before the assembled delegates and thought about how much her life had changed. A year ago, she had been a bored student who skipped gym class to read about old battles. Now she was standing in front of the leaders of galactic civilization, being honored for revolutionizing warfare. In her acceptance speech, Maya said something that surprised many people in the audience. "I did not win this battle by being smarter than Admiral Veltar or by having better ships than the Zephyrians. I won because I was willing to do something they did not expect. The lesson here is not that humans are better fighters than aliens. The lesson is that anyone can achieve the impossible if they are willing to think differently." After the ceremony, Maya returned to her normal life at Terra Nova Academy. She attended all her classes now, even gym class, though Coach Williams had given up on making her run laps. Instead, he let her teach tactical movement to other students, Professor Henderson asked Maya to give a guest lecture in his advanced galactic history class. She stood in the same classroom where she had first learned about the Zephyrian threat, looking at students who stared at her with amazement. "The first rule of human tactics," Maya began, "is that there are no rules, there are only opportunities." Spent the next hour explaining how she had analyzed Zephyrian weaknesses and planned the battle that saved human colonies. But the most important part of her lecture was about something else entirely. "The real secret," she told the students, "is never to stop learning. I read everything I could find about military history, not because I thought I would need it someday, but because I was curious. Curiosity is humanity's greatest strength. We ask questions that other species never think to ask." After class, a young student approached Maya. "Do you think humans will fight more wars with alien species?" Maya considered the question carefully. "I hope not, but if we do, we'll be ready. Because now the galaxy knows that humans do not follow the old rules of warfare. We make our own rules." The student nodded and walked away, probably dreaming of becoming a famous military strategist like Maya. Maya gathered her books and headed to her next class. Tomorrow was a test in advanced mathematics, and she had not studied yet. Some things never changed. Even for the girl who had saved civilization by skipping gym class. But as she walked through the halls of Terra Nova Academy, Maya smiled. The galaxy was a different place now, and humanity had earned respect through courage and clever thinking, rather than superior weapons or larger fleets. She had proven that sometimes the best way to win a fight was to refuse to fight the way your enemy expected, and that lesson would serve humanity well in the years to come.